The Stack, a podcast for IT and MSP professionals, with your host, David Papp.
Welcome to the MSP Stack Podcast. I'm your host, David Papp. We're joined today by Colin Knox with Gradient MSP, based out of Calgary. Colin has an amazing integration and automation tools that basically help MSPs run better and run more cost effectively. Welcome, Colin.
Hey, nice to be here.
Awesome. Tell us about your main offering. Would that actually be the thing that I read on your website called Synthesize?
Yeah, it's our Synthesize platform. So we're building an integration platform for MSPs. Consider it kind of like a middleware. It's all about bridging that gap that exists between an MSP's PSA that they run their business on and all the other tools that they use and resell. So using it through use cases like billing, when you're going to reconcile all of the services that an MSP is reselling down to their end customers and clients, making sure that they're billing the right quantities of every item for every client. And then into alerting now as well. So, MSPs are running however many different security tools, monitoring consoles, whole bunch of different solutions that are keeping watch essentially on different things. And as alerts get generated by those, it's generally filling up some, what I'd call a dumpster fire of a shared mailbox somewhere, or maybe posting into Slack. Maybe people are doing some email parsers and creating tickets off of them. But very few of them integrate natively with the PSA and the ticketing queues. So we essentially aggregate all of those alerts and then deposit them as service tickets in the PSA of choice for the MSP.
Interesting. And so do you also leverage on any kind of machine learning AI component to help filter out, we'll call it the white noise?
Yeah, so we're building in some rule logic right now, where MSPs can set and create rules surrounding things like thresholds of number of times that this has been triggered or alerted in X period of time. Don't create a ticket unless it's happened this much. Threading of tickets and closed loop ticketing. So if something is auto remediated by an automation tool or a script, or just happens to self-remediate itself, being able to go back and close those tickets so that a tech isn't wasting time jumping in, going in to find it's already solved, and then taking up more time to close out the ticket. And then, the threading. So if, multiple workstations or devices or solutions for a single client is all triggering to thread all of that into a single ticket, or in some cases, maybe multiple clients to thread it into a single ticket or connect them all, so that you don't have that duplication of effort where numerous technicians are picking up numerous tickets that are all related to the same thing. So, yeah.
That's almost touching into the realm of the whole EDRXDR, isn't it?
We're noticing things that way and creating the tickets. We're getting integrations in with those solutions so that things still flow to the right ticketing system for the experts to be dealing with, that the MSPs have it all captured in their ticketing, so that when they're doing their quarterly review or even monthly reports, that it's showing effort and tickets and stuff that was being done, all of those things in there. So mostly just aggregating the alerts and making sure that things are not dropped, balls aren't dropped, important and critical things aren't missed. To eradicate some of that white noise that happens that generally causes people to not have their solutions creating tickets. Awesome.
So I'm trying to understand how easy it is for somebody to install something like that. Like, does it just, is there a setup that goes in, or do you actually have to manually create all the connectors through APIs and scripts, or do you have a professional service side that helps with the onboarding of your software, and you need to do all these custom connectors? Like, kind of describe how easy or difficult this is for somebody to go and implement this in their environment.
Yeah, so we have, two modules that MSPs interface with on the platform. So the first one is our billing module. Super easy to get set up and started. You attach, create an API user in your PSA of choice. attach that, kind of plug gradient into the PSA. We collect the information we need so that we know kind of which clients there are, what contracts they have, what the service items are, line items, and all the contracts. When it comes to managing the consumption info from the various vendors and suppliers of the MSP, we've got some 14 or 13 direct integrations that have been built. So a lot of channel vendors built and are building integrations with our platform, rather than in many cases direct integrations with the PSAs, because they can reach into the 9 PSAs we support through a single integration. So it's super easy for MSPs to generate an API token, plug it into their vendor portal, and just have that consumption information flowing through automatically for them to do the quick review and reconciliation process each month. For anything that's not directly integrated, pretty much all, but not quite all, vendors and suppliers in the space provide their resellers and partners with some form of, generally in CSV format, a usage export. From that, they can just drag and drop that into our platform, do the mapping up, create an import profile so they don't have to do the mapping in the future. They just have to bring it into the system. We do all that same comparison, identify, the net increases or changes, reductions of quantities for certain clients on certain services. And in a lot of cases, we're identifying places where the MSP has never been billing their client for entire services for long periods of time. So complete newfound revenue for them. So with that module, super easy to get set up and going. Generally takes, maybe a couple hours of effort to get it going, and should save them 10 plus hours every single month. And we're generally finding the average MSP just about $15,000 in annual revenue in the first cycle that they do with us, that they weren't actually billing for.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's some big impact for them.
You're listening to The Stack.
Special thanks to Pax8 for their support of The Stack. Pax8 empowers the modern MSP to buy, sell, and manage cloud products with automated provisioning, simplified billing, and free PSA integrations to more than 50 verified and vetted cloud service providers. Pax8 is ready to help you simplify your cloud business.
What's in your stack?
And then on the alert side, very similar. It's kind of a set it and forget it type of thing. And no SaaS company ever wants to say that, but we do, because you want people logging into your product all the time for stickiness. But with us, again, you connect it the same way with your PSA. This one is a direct integrations only at current. So you go into our integration partners, plug in the API key, and the alerts just flow. As the rule logic comes in over the next, call it 6 months here, they can come in to set and refine their rule sets and their logic and whatnot that way. But again, then they just leave it. And if there's an alert that doesn't create a ticket and they miss something, they can come back into our system and find out why that happened and adjust that rule. Or if things are flowing through that they don't want to create tickets, and they can come back in and create some rules to mitigate that as well.
That's fantastic. So are you finding in general that I hear you saying that things run more efficiently? There's some additional selling opportunities, recognizing some additional revenue streams and whatnot for things that would be missed. But are you seeing any savings on the labor side in terms of time savings across staff because it's better organized and better, or is it the flip side that there's more things that are being noticed that weren't before, so it's the same amount of work but at a different level?
Yeah, so I think the outcomes are different on each side, with each module here. So on one hand, with billing, we'll say the average MSP, it really varies depending on their size, both not just in how many people they have, but number of clients and number of services they're reselling. But what we find is most MSPs they say that their billing is automated, and maybe the generation of the invoices and sending of that is automated, but the actual reconciliation and management or updating of their agreements and contracts isn't. And they're typically spending, on the small end, 6 hours a month doing that. On the large end, we have partners that are saving 50 plus 85 hours a month in just doing that reconciliation because it's such a manual process. So there's some significant savings. When you're looking at smaller MSPs, who's doing that? That's the owner, the president, CEO, top dog, whatever they call themselves. And they're probably doing that after hours. So it's impeding time that they could be recharging, relaxing, spending with their spouse, their family, friends, doing whatever. But instead, they're sitting on a computer doing one of the most infuriating tasks and brutal, cross-eyed, complex systems, like tasks every single month. On the alerting side, probably the biggest outcome is that you're not missing any alerts, right? You don't have to worry about the human error factor. We've all missed an alert before. We've all gotten that phone call from the client. How did you not know about this? What's being done about this? Everything else, and you're behind the 8 ball. But at the same time, since a lot of those tools don't integrate through and create tickets natively, and there's some that do, but for the ones that don't, there's a huge time sink in that. You're now paying technical staff that should be out billing $120, $150 an hour equivalent, maybe more depending on their seniority, although we all know everybody's doing the managed services. So, but still, their head is on a swivel. They're looking at trying to log into every monitoring console, keep an eye on the wall boards if they're in an office, right? Trying to keep track and not miss something in the sea, or review these emails where there's 5 million different backup alerts or whatever else is happening.
Firefighting versus being proactive.
Right? Like that, it's so time consuming for them to be watching and finding those things that all you have to do is watch the ticket queue. When there's a ticket in there, pick it up, work it, close it, on to the next, right?
Wow.
And be able to leverage that stuff. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
I always love to wrap up our podcasts with a quick tip. Like if you had a single piece of advice that you wanted to give somebody, something that they should do, if they completely ignored everything you said or didn't understand what you were saying, what's that one thing that you want them to walk away with?
You know what? I think timely right now as we look at what's happening in the public markets and the global economic conditions and macroeconomic states, there's a lot of indicators saying that a recession is coming. And so as an MSP, our mantra has always been to be as automated, effective, efficient as possible.
Yeah.
Nothing about that has mattered more than now. Right? You need to be as automated and effective as possible. Minimize any time waste, time sinks in your business. And on the billing side, if we're finding 3 to 10% revenue for MSPs on average, make sure you're getting paid for what you're delivering. Because when those clients come calling to negotiate down or ask for change, you need to make sure that you're still getting fair value and getting captured everything that you should be getting paid for. So I'd say that's the major thing for me.
Fantastic. Thank you very much once again for all of this. I think it's definitely something that everybody needs to be exploring more, as you pointed out. Automation, machine learning, everything, all of that. I think that's the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the MSP Stack Podcast. Remember, if you liked it, hit thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit thumbs down twice. If you'd like to be on the show, head on over to the MSPstack.com and click on the Be a Guest button. The Stack is made possible through the generous support of MSP Corp. What's in your stack?